truth of the matter is we are usually stronger than we think. Many times when we are bombarded by issues, we think, oh my goodness, Nitatoboa. We forget that greater is he who lives in us than he that lives in the world. And talking about issues, man, sometimes you have, you look back and the things you've been able to overcome, you even wonder. We have all overcome one thing or another. I've got an amazing guest joining us today. His story is just one of those stories. I was listening to his story and I was thinking, what? This one needs to be made into a movie. Not even a movie, a whole series. Because there are lots of lessons we can be able to learn from what he's been able to overcome and how far the Lord has brought him. This morning, we get to hang out with Samuel Kang'ethe. Samuel, how are you doing?
I'm very fine, Pastor James. Thank you.
Karibu sana. I'm so excited to host you.
Asante, asante.
You have a very interesting story. You've been through quite a number of things. Take us back to your earlier days in school. But before you do that, tell us a bit about who Samuel Kang'ethe is.
Basically, Samuel Kang'ethe is someone who is saved.
Mm-hmm.
By the grace of God, I'm a born-again Christian.
Yes.
And I'm the second born in our family. We are born 3 boys.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say my mom, we have been raised by my mom because long time ago, my dad passed on. That was back in 2000, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically that's who I am. And right now I'm always in ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like in full-time ministry.
Wow.
That's what I do.
Great. What do you do in full-time ministry?
In the church, I'm in the protocol department,
mm-hmm.
and also I'm in the intercessory department.
Wow. That's
so
good.
Basically, I always work with the pastor. Yeah.
That's nice. Great. So take us back to how was life like in school? You've mentioned that your dad passed on when you were very young. Yeah. So how was life being raised up by your mom? How was your school life?
Basically, my school life, I'm born in 1992, mm-hmm. and my dad passed on in 2000. And that time, I remember my mom was a housewife. Mm-hmm. She never used to go to work because my dad had a very good job. He was the one that was providing. And back then, now my dad, after he has passed, it was very difficult for us because now mom had to go out now to start making ends meet for us. Mm-hmm. And there's even a point, I remember back in 2002, that's when our firstborn finished class 8. And after he finished class 8, my mom now said, because there's no fee, there's no money that he can continue with secondary school, sasa aende akatafute maisha.
Wow.
And that time, it was really hard for us because I remember my mom was even at a point, akaandikwa kazi ya house girl. Mm-hmm. She has worked as a house girl for basically like 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Before now, she was employed in Del Monte, mm-hmm. in Thika.
Yes.
That's where we come from. We come in Muranga County.
Mm.
Yeah, and that time it was not easy. I was 11 years when we were left, me and my young brother. Mm-hmm. And I was the one that was taking care of him. Mom was coming home after every 2 weeks.
What?
So it was not that easy, yeah.
So how did you manage that?
And, it is interesting, Pastor James.
Yeah.
Because the brother to my dad,
uh-huh.
After my dad passed on, they said, you know what? The husband did not pay for you dowry. Now you have to go out of this place. Wewe si wa huku.
Wow.
Haukulipiwa mahari, sasa toka uende. And my grandmother that time was alive, mm-hmm. and she really stood with us and said, hakuna mahali wanaenda.
Mm-hmm.
But when my grandmother passed on 2003, that was really when it was too difficult. And tulikuwa tunaangaliwa na majirani, tuko mimi na bradhangu. I'm the one who used to cook, wash the clothes since 2003. You can imagine at the age of 11 years.
Wow.
And then the last one is 8 years. But we carried on and we kept strong. And that time I was really bright, mm-hmm. because my primary school, I've never been to number 3.
Wow.
I've never to be number 3. Yeah, I used to be number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2.
Mm-hmm. Even with all that responsibility.
Yes, I was a bright student. Wow. Very bright.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So it was just like that primary. And now you see mom wakati mwingine ametuachia unga, anasema hakuna pesa, sasa mtajua vile mtajisort. Unajua sasa kama ameandikwa kazi ya house girl, it's hard for her.
Yeah.
Even sometimes to have money. Alikuwa anatoa advance, so every time anapewa advance after 2 weeks, that's when she used to come home. And she was not working near, she was really working far. And sometimes I remember kuna time nilifukuzangwa sababu ya pesa ya exam. And that time, nafukuziwa 30 bob.
30 bob?
30 bob.
So what did
and
you do?
I was in class 6.
What did you do?
So, nikapiga hesabu, nikaona mam ako mbali. So nikaenda nikafanya kibarua, nikalimia mtu shamba, nilimaliza na siku 3.
Wow.
So after 2 weeks, that's when I went back to school. And you can imagine Pastor James at the age of 14, na kibarua ya home that time ilikuwa, yani ndo ulime upewe 100, unalima a space of 60 feet by 60 feet.
Wow.
Yeah, but all in all, I carried on, I kept strong. And I really thank God, because when I was in class 7, that's when my mom was employed in Del Monte.
Okay.
And from that time, life became a bit easy for us. Now mom was coming home every day. And she used to walk when she was going to work for a distance of not less than 15 kilometers. Every day in the morning. Yes.
Kwenda na kurudi?
Kwenda na kurudi. Asubuhi 15 kilometers, jioni 15 kilometers. Yeah, I kept strong. I was really studying hard at that time.
Okay. How did you perform in your class 8 exams?
Class 8, I really did. I was the best in Bika East District.
Wow.
In the year 2000. Yes. I got 434 out of 500. Yeah, and that time there was the scholarship for the Wings to Fly, the equity.
The equity, yes.
Yes. So that time nikapata scholarship. Na nikaenda. Sasa nikaitwa. But funny enough, when we were selecting the schools, I selected some of the schools. I was selecting Chania Boys, Njiris, Kairi Boys. I didn't choose Mangu. I didn't choose Alliance. I didn't choose Tarehe. And that time, you see, as a bright student, most of them, they were choosing those best schools.
Yeah.
So after class 8, now the equity are telling me you have to go to Mangu. I said, no, I'll go to Chania instead. And that's when I went to Chania Boys.
Ooh,
so from 1.
Yes. So what was life in high school different than primary school? Because now high school you're boarding, isn't it?
Yeah, I was boarding. Yeah, it really became hard. I remember the first time when I went to school, there was monolization, and it was a very harsh one. That time, I was in Form 1, Term 1. Then unapata mtu anakuja anakupea ndizi, anakwambia hii ndizi iwe kwa mfuko, na anakupea 1 week.
So you have to walk around with it in the pocket?
Yes, because every time you meet him, you have to show him. So, but after 1 week, instead ya kuiva, sasa imenyauka. You see, there's no enough heat to make it dry. So, and he really beat me, that guy.
Oh my goodness.
So I was admitted into the hospital. So when I came back to school, that's when my life started going south.
Oh, what happened?
That time, I now began taking drugs. The whole of my primary school, I've never tasted any drugs. I never used to do anything with drugs.
So how did you end up getting into drugs? Is it because of the friends you had, or is it because of just the situations that you found yourself in?
First of all, the first thing that really pushed me to drugs was after the punishment from that guy. And I said, I have to revenge.
Okay.
And you see, that time I was very innocent. So I looked for some friends and I told them this is what has happened. That was back now in Ishago, not in Thika school. I came out from the hospital and I got the access to now the drugs. And the only drug that I started with was bang. And I took bang. I was really smoking bang. So when I went back to school, now I find this guy, he still continues to monolize me. And that is now from 1 and 2. And I told him, you know what? Today it's me and you. Leo ni mimi na wewe. So I attacked him during break time. Nikamvunja mikono yote mbili. Unashika hivi unavunja na magoti kama kuni. Yes.
Are you for real?
Yes. And I was really small.
Oh my goodness. Did that turn out to be a police case?
After that, I ran out of the school. So my mom had to take me back to the school. Now with the board of governors were there and the equity guys were called.
Yes.
And I said, I'm studying in this school because my life is in danger. You see, because I've done this and I knew Form 3s now will attack me because that was a Form 3 who I had attacked.
Yes.
So I was given a last warning, but I was still expelled from that school by the equity. They told me, we'll take you to another school. But after that one, if you ruin that opportunity, it will be gone.
So they still accepted to continue paying for your fees?
Yes, yes they did, Pastor James. And after that, now I transferred to Njiri Boys. That is from 1 term 2.
Yes.
Njiri Boys, I went there. And you know, all this time, my mom never knew that I was taking drugs. The teachers never knew I was using drugs. No one knew. Because as a bright student, sometimes, you know, not so many people will suspect you of such things.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just wondering, this student whose hands you broke,
yes.
Did the parents come to school? Were you confronted by the parents of that young man? And how, if yes, how did that go?
Yeah, they did. Yes, they did. And my answer was very simple. I said, when he attacked me, and I told the principal, when he attacked me, I came and I reported, you did nothing. Now I had to take the matter into my hands.
Wow.
Yes, because I told them when I went into the hospital, I stayed in the hospital for 3 days, and I stayed at home for another 3 more days. And no one was concerned. And when I reported the case, they said there's no monolization in Channel Boys.
Yes.
So in some way, I was saying that now you see the teachers are defending this guy and this one is happening. Because I was asking the teacher, how can this happen to me? I can't beat myself. So what happened? Yeah.
What did they?
So
did the young man have anything to say?
That man that time was not there. And we were doing the case because he was now in the hospital.
Yeah.
But thereafter we came and met afterwards. After like 3-4 years, we met. Yeah, we met, and he never attacked me. He was just tulikuwa tuna heshima. Heshima ilidumu.
Mutual respect.
Yes.
Okay, we'll talk about how life was at Njiri Boys and what happened there. That's coming up shortly. I'm getting to hang out with Samuel Kangede this morning. He's sharing with us his journey and his story. He's been through a lot, but he's been able to overcome, and now he's somewhere where he is serving the Lord. If you have any questions for him, or maybe you went to school with him, you remember, or maybe you are the one whose hands he broke, but you are able to reconcile, and you're listening to the show today, talk to us. 20316 SMS line. WhatsApp number 0786 316 316. So Samuel, back to you. You've shared how you had to change schools. Now you went to Njiri Boys. How was life there? Did any other interesting things happen there?
Thank you, Pastor James. Now I've moved to Njiri Boys. Now that's in Form 1, Term 3.
Yes.
And life still there wasn't that good. I can say it was really good because I continue engaging myself with drugs. And then I became even more worse because now that time I even became a drug trafficker. I used to now get the drugs and sell to the boys.
In school?
Yes, in school.
Okay.
In Form 1.
What? Ulianza mapema?
I really continue. And I extended, not now from only bang. I was even taking sniffs. I used to sniff cocaine. Nilikuwa nadunga watu hizo madawa za kudunga.
Wow.
And I used to use them at that time. And now coming to Form 2, that's when really another thing really happened to me. Another teacher found me smoking bang and confronted me in front of the class. And akaniuliza, what was that we are doing in the football pitch? Nikamwambia hakuna. Akaniambia, you were smoking bang. Nikamwambia hapana. She slapped me. She was a lady. So you can imagine from bang, you know, the guys that use, the ones that takes drugs, in case mtu anakuconfront, mostly bangi, una akili naamka hapo immediately. So wakati ulinislap, nikaamka na yeye na mangumi, and she's a teacher.
What?
Yes, and she's, now I was in Form 2, Term 1. And nikampiga, nikamfuata, akipotea namgongesha mlango. And I followed her to the principal's office. And it was very early in the morning. And when I got there, I told the principal, you know what? This lady has slapped me. And I have to take enough revenge on that slap.
Wow.
So at that time, I was contained in the office, and they called the police. And my mom was called. Now I was detained. I was taken to the police station. I stayed in the police cell for 2 days before my mom came.
Okay.
Sasa hapo ni mambo ikakuwa shida kabisa. Hata tulikesi kwa polisi. Walimu walikuja polisi, my mom kwa polisi. Watu wa Equity wakaitwa kwa huko polisi na tukakesi hapo. Yeah, and that time, mom was still defending me and said that I've done using the drugs. And wakati mwalimu anasema hakuna kitu kama hiyo natumia. And you know, my mom was saying that from a point of very innocent, because she never knew, she had never seen me take drugs.
Yeah.
And that time I was still performing, I'm an A student. And after that point, sasa wakaniambia, sasa the scholarship umeharibu, we gave you the last chance. Now sasa hapa tunaku-expel. And the principal said he cannot come back to the school.
Oh.
So I was now again expelled from school. Form 2, Term 1.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so now that time, it became hard for me. We went back to Ushago. I packed everything. Tukaenda nyumbani. Sasa kufika home, mom kwanza ni vita ananichapa. Sababu nimeharibu scholarship. Ameona vile amejaribu, ameng'ang'ana ndio tuweze kusoma. And I really understood her, because that time, you see, nikijaribu kufikiria, even today when I look back, naona vile alikuwa ameng'ang'ana, but I ruined that opportunity.
Yeah.
And really understood her that time. Sasa tumefika nyumbani, mom disowned me. Akasema, unajua nini? Umeharibu scholarship. From today, mimi sitakupeleka shule yoyote, sikulipia school fees. Mtoto anazaliwa na anakufa. So, to me, you are a dead child.
How did that make you feel?
It was hard for me, but sababu nilikuwa natumia madawa, nikasema ni sawa, haina shida. So nikajitafutia shule huko nikaenda secondary za hapo karibu. They knew I was a bright student, the primary is around.
Yeah.
So sababu go. And I just went with the result slip, because that time I don't have the transfer letter.
Yes.
And they accepted me in. Now that was a school in Ushago called St. Teresa's High School.
Okay, so did they accept you in Form 1 or Form 2?
Form 2.
Okay.
I went there for Form 2. Now sasa nimeanza Form 2 hapo vizuri. But that is a mixed school, it's a day school. Amazing. Sasa huko nikapata watu anatumiaga drugs kidogo, but unajua sasa ni Ushago, watu wana pesa.
Yeah.
Sasa nauza dawa kidogo ndio nipate school fees, because that time there's no one who is paying for me school fees. And I managed to pay for myself Form 2, the whole of Form 2. But now from that time, now I started, now in that point when I went now to a mixed school, nikaanza kuji-engage pia na mambo ya wasichana. Yes, and from that time, life ikakuwa mbaya zaidi, because it wasn't easy. I used to go to school 3 days, and 2 days plus the weekend, I used to go to work, fanya vibarua, so that I can get now money to pay for my school fee.
Okay.
And even to eat, because that time mom was not even giving me food home.
Did this affect your academic performance?
It really affected my academic. It really affected, because I remember from 2 now, term 2, when I went to that school, I got a B, and I was asking myself, a B? I've never gotten a B. And I continued to study hard, because now you see, there are some days you're in school, some days you're not in school.
Yeah.
But at the end of term 2, I had a B+.
Oh,
I
my
said,
goodness.
I'm still coming up. Yeah, so at that time, I can see something, Pastor James, at that time, I engaged myself with ladies, and also I used even to kukatia walimu pia. And I'm in form 2.
Wow.
Yes.
How did that turn out?
Sorry?
What happened after that? How did that turn out?
Yeah, I got into a relationship with 2 teachers in that school. And now coming to form 3 now, the life that I was living now, you see, I'm struggling. People don't have money. I'm not able to pay my school fees. Sasa nikaanza kuiba vitabu shule.
Textbooks.
Akina kamusi, dictionary, hizi vitabu. Kwanza form 1 wakikuja kama leo, within 1 week nilikuwa nimebeba kila kitu.
Oh my goodness. Then where would you take the books?
I used to sell them in the streets at a cheaper price. So now that time I partnered with another guy. So huyu jamaa naye pia alikuwa the best performer when I went to that school. Hata yeye hajui mambo ya drugs. Nikamuingiza kwa drugs. Now we are there. We are still in books. That is in form 3. Na tukaiba vitabu sana, ndio tunaendelea kupata school fees. But one day tukakosana na principal. Because I was in a relationship with a certain girl. Na pia principal alikuwa anataka huyo msichana.
Oh.
Yes. So I confronted the principal and I told the principal, you know what? If you don't leave this girl, I'll kill you.
What?
Yes.
What did he say?
You know this? He said, you know what? Tutajuana. But amazingly, I confronted him in a way that tulimfanya set up with the lady.
Yes.
Yes, anakukatia, mwambie mkutane mahali fulani, na hiyo time nakutana nitakuwa hapo. So akapangana wakutane on a Sunday, jioni after church. So but penye waliambia wakutane, mimi already nilikuwa na huyo msichana. So vile alikuja akatupata na yeye. So akamuita, nikamuuliza unamuitia nini? Sasa tuko nje ya shule hatuna. Sasa sina school uniform. Is not a teacher, ni raia. Nikamwambia nilikuona tukiwa shule, lakini sasa hapa wewe ni raia. Na kutoka leo ukae mbali na huyo msichana. So beef ilianza hapo. Yeah, and sasa yeye ndio aliprove wrong, akatafuta msichana mwingine. So msichana nikamuiba vitabu zote juu alikuwa amenunua the revision books. Na akaenda akaripoti akasema ni nini. So you can imagine Pastor James on the parade, asubuhi, mfako kwa parade. Principal, hata naita parade inafanya on a Thursday. Something that has never happened. Anasema hii shule tukamekuwa tukisuspect watu wanaiba vitabu. And someone can get them Mungai come front, John Dora Kiari come front. The 2 of us. And they said, the police are here, we are just going to your homes. We want to find out if there are any books in your home. And if we find any, mutalipa vitabu zote zimeibiwa kwa hii shule.
So did they find any books at your place?
Yes.
How many?
Definitely at my place. Yes.
How many books?
We used to steal. We used to steal books for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, tunaenda tunauza. So hii ilikuwa wiki ya kwanza, ndio wanaenda kwangu sasa, wanakuja kuniattack. Na hiyo mambo ya kufuta vitabu. So kwa kitabu, kwenda nyumbani na polisi, on the desk, wakapata vitabu 47.
Oh my goodness.
And 8 calculators. Alafu kwa mattress, ukiinua mattress chini ya bed, kulikuwa na vitabu zingine 60.
What? That's over 100 books.
Yes. We started at my place. After kutoka kwangu tukaenda kwa huyo jamaa. So kwenda kwao tukapata another 120 books. Tulikuwa tunaiba hivi tukiwa wawili tunaenda kuuza.
I'm sure that got you into big trouble.
Yes, that was after that, my mom was even telling me, now you have to go. Utaishi hapa tena. Now utoke huku uende. Nikamwambia, you know what, mom? You told me umenidisown. Sasa mimi niko na share ya babangu ya shamba. So nipe share yangu, huwezi niambia nitoke huku. And that time my mom called the aunties, uncles, and wakati walikuja kuniongelesha nikamwambia kila mtu akashughulike na maisha ya kwake. So you can imagine talking like that to your aunties, to your uncle, to my dads, the brothers, to my dad.
Yeah.
And I remember that time, maisha yangu ilikuwa tu kwa ile kanyumba nilikuwa tu nimejenga hiyo kidogo.
Yes.
I never used to go outside that place. So tumerudi shule with the books. Sasa tukaambiwa, wase wote wakaambiwa, mtu yote ameshawaibiwa kitabu andike. The books we are written from Form 1 to Form 4. Now we are in Form 3, Term 1, and that time we are doing midterm exam. So vitabu zikaandikwa, Pastor James, and the list was long.
Yes.
Yeah, because it was amounting to around 170,000. So you can imagine, I'm straining to pay 6,000 as a school fees. Now I'm supposed to pay 170,000 as the compensation for those books. So we looked for another school with my brother, and when we went to that school to ask for admission, when we had just talked to the principal and he was organizing for us for an interview, we saw the principal coming to that school, the former principal.
The former principal.
So yes, hatukungojea hata hiyo nini exam. Tulitoka tu tukaenda tukajua huyu amekuja kuharibu kwa tutakubaliwa huku.
Okay, let me take you back. So the whole issue with the books, because the police had come to your house, it never ended up being a police case.
No, it wasn't a police case.
Okay.
When they found the book, it was taken out to school.
Okay.
We went back to school with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, how did you find another school to go to? How did you finish your secondary education?
Now from that time we began now doing business with that guy, so that we can be able to pay the books. Because I was telling this guy, you know what? There's still hope for us.
Yeah.
Even if we've been done with this, we can still go back to school and we can still finish.
Yes.
So from that point, we were organizing a certain man. Usiku anaenda anaongea na watchman wa usiku, because that time hiyo shule yetu haikuwa na gate, hakuwa na fence. So usiku tulikuwa tunaenda tunaiba vitabu zenye zimebaki, na sasa tumeambiwa go home till further notice until you pay those books.
Oh,
that's when you can be come back. Yeah. Sasa tukiwa nyumbani tunaenda shule tunaiba bado vitabu because we had the master keys.
Yeah.
Yes. So hapo ndipo tuliweza kuiba hizo vitabu, tunafanya biashara, tukaweza kununua vitabu. We managed to buy all the books by the end of that year.
The books you owed?
So we went back to that. Yes.
Through the books you stole?
Yeah, through the ones that now we are stealing, but we are outside school.
You're stealing to repay.
Yes. Yes, Pastor James.
So I don't want us to run out of time, because I know there's still a bit more you need to share. So how did you eventually finish high school? Because now this is Form 3. So what happened after that, and how did you finish high school?
So after we paid the books, we were allowed to go back to school now. So when we went back to school, we were told we have to repeat Form 3. We said, no, we are going to Form 4.
Yeah.
So now we have back Form 4. We are doing mocks. Mocks, I got an E.
Oh my goodness.
I was number 73 out of 75.
Wow.
And that guy was index 75 out of 75.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are still joking, taking drugs, but when we got to Term 3, but this guy from Term 2, he got serious. He became very serious, and even he disconnected with me. He stopped taking drugs, na akaanza kusoma kwa bidii sana. But for me, nilianza hiyo Form 4, Term 3, September. Ndio niliona I'm just 1 month and a half away for the exams. So nikasema madawa situmii tena. I became serious with studies from that time. People used to call me a bookwormer, but I really studied hard na tukaweza kumaliza in the same school. And KCSE, when it was out, now that time I was in Ngong, I was now doing business. Nikapata B minus.
Boss.
And that guy got an A minus.
Wow.
Yeah, he got now the scholarship with the PPT. Yeah, so from that time now I've gotten that B minus. So I said I have to accept it. I can't go back to school. I started doing business.
What kind of business?
I used to ride motorbike. Yeah, because when we were taken home that time in Form 3, nikajifunza kuendesha pikipiki. So nilikuwa nafanya biashara kidogo kidogo na pikipiki.
Okay.
So tumemaliza high school, nimetafuta pikipiki ndio nilikuwa nafanya. And God was gracious because that time sijaokoka, siendi kanisa. But after Form 4, something funny happened because after high school, sijawahi kosa kanisa. From 2011, I finished my high school in 2010.
Yeah.
Naenda church every Sunday, but after Sunday, naenda tu raha zangu, ulevi, all that. And when I got into the business of motorbike, that's when my life with women became very worse. Pastor James, I can tell you, the business of motorbike has a lot of immorality, sexual immorality.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
why is that the case? Because when you look at that business, you wouldn't even think of something like that.
True, but something amazing is that I don't know what happens, but for me, I never used even to talk to a lady for 2 days. But I understood afterwards, after I got saved, that's when I understood that it is something, it's a curse in our home, because I was looking at my brothers and I was seeing what they are struggling with.
Okay.
Because when I was telling my brother, you see what I've gotten saved, this is what I've been going through. And he was telling me, hiyo yako ni shadow. So nashindwa, yangu ni shadow aje.
Wow.
But now nikang'ang'ana.
How did you get saved?
So after now the motorbike business nimefanya, nimekuja, nikapata pikipiki hadi 5.
Zako?
Nikaamua kwenda college. Ya zangu 5. Nikaamua kurudi kule kusoma college. But when I was in college, that time I was in college, hapo ndipo niliokoka. I remember kuna movie moja ilikuja Sitam, inaitwa Heaven's Gate na Hell's Friend.
Yes.
Now that was my encounter. After that movie, I gave my life to Jesus.
Wow.
I said, I've been going to church, but now I have to make a radical decision. And I gave my life to Jesus back in 2014, October 23rd. Yes, and after that, I got saved, and I was baptized in 2nd November 2014. Now after that, I have this money. I said, I want to go back to school. I did business management for some months. And when I was in school, God was asking me, what are you doing here? I told God, I came to study. What are you studying? Business management. What you're doing will never help you. That's what God was telling me.
Oh.
And I had to drop out from school. Niliacha school fees, huko shule, na ni mimi najilipia. Yes.
So you dropped out and did what?
Now from that time, I came into full-time ministry because I was wondering, because shule nasoma, but when I went there, Pastor James, nikajipata naongelesha watu mambo ya Christ. I started with 4 guys, the number grew to 16, the number grew to 40. So after class, it's first semester, but niko na followers like 40 naongelesha na wapreachia every day. Nasema, mimi mwenyewe hapa si yuko.
You know, that's a very...
Yes.
That's a very huge transformation, thinking that when you are in high school, ulikuwa unakatia walimu. Now you are in college, you're preaching to people. That is a huge change.
Yes. Yeah, it was really, sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, so did you shut down your businesses, you know, when the whole issue of ministry came up, or do you still do your businesses?
After now I came into full time. I was continuous still with business here and there. Yeah, but most of the time I was in church. I used to work 2 days just for sustaining myself. But the other days I've been to church. So now when I was coming to full time, God asked me one question and told me, you know what, you've gone all through these things, but there's one thing I want you to disconnect with, and this was women. Sasa nimeingia prayer and fasting, Pastor James. Mungu ananiambia chukua kitabu na kalamu, andika wasichana wote unalala na wao.
Wow.
The list was endless, Pastor James. The digits, it's not, it's more than, it's 3 digits number.
Oh my goodness.
It's not a 3-digit number, yes.
Wow.
I wrote down, the list was coming to 157 women. Yes. And I was in prayer and fasting for 65 days. And God was telling me, write them down, disconnect yourself, break the soul ties. And I prayed. And from that time, that's when I can say my life took a turnaround.
Yeah.
And from that time, I told God one thing. I told God, you know what? I've engaged myself with these things of women. Before I get married, I want to have served you faithfully for 9 years. I went into ministry full-time 2016. So since then, I've not been dating.
Yes.
I told God, I want to serve you for 9 years before you bless me with a marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically that's what has happened. Now from that time, I'm now in full-time ministry.
In full-time ministry. I'm just wondering, did you ever go back to reconcile with your mother?
Yes, I did. After I got saved, I went back home. Nikaenda nikanunua mbuzi. Nikamchinjia, nikamuomba msamaha, akanibariki. And nikafanya a very big feast for the whole family.
Yeah.
Wenye wote nilikuwa nimebaya. And I can tell you something, Pastor James, from then, I can say from back 2017, hakuna kitu inafanyika nyumbani without my approval.
Wow.
If there's anything my brothers, my aunties, my uncles, they are planning,
yes,
Mom has to call, ask me, this is what I'm hearing. What do you have to say? If I have to say no, she calls them and tells them, Kangere have said no, and there's nothing we are doing until he approves.
Wow.
Yeah, and my mom is is my best friend today.
That is just unbelievable. Question: have you ever met with your former head teacher?
No, I've never. Yeah, the head teacher for primary, yes, we've met.
You were secondary?
Yeah, but secondary, I've never met him. I've never met him before.
Well, my friend, unfortunately, my time is up, but I really thank you for coming in to share your story today. There's somebody who had sent in an SMS, and they're saying they were saying they are a former student of Njiri Boys, and they remember some of the things that used to happen back in school. Caroline Auma says, wow, what a testimony. May God bless you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Ruth Mwende says, what an amazing testimony. And then I have another message here that says, I am moved by that testimony of this brother. I have a brother-in-law who is struggling with drugs, but now he's willing to come out of it. But the dad has chased him out of home. He has been spending nights on the streets. I'm sure God will lead him and God will guide him. If his heart is tender and he really wants to get out of it, I believe Mungu hata muachilia. If our friend Kang'ethe is here to tell his story, I think that's a good testimony to show that God will take care of him. So what's your parting shot as we finish? You know, for maybe somebody who may be listening in today and maybe they have a son or a brother or a sister who's into drugs and it seems like huyu maisha yake haina mwelekeo, I don't even know if they will ever recover. What can you tell them to encourage them?
Something I can tell them, Pastor James, is the book of Job, Job chapter 14, verse 7, the one that talks about there's hope. For even a tree after it has been cut, it shall sprout again.
Yes.
There's always hope. And if someone is determined, because all this was because of determination, I was really focused. And even after all these mistakes happened, I really say that I have now to take this step. But something that is very crucial and important is to have Jesus, because and have the fear of God, because the fear of God is the one that will enable you to be able to overcome such of these things.
Yeah.
Because you see that, but by then, every time I was making any progress, I had made a purpose in my heart. Now, you know what? I have to fear God. And I want to thank God so much because of that, what happened to my life. But there's someone that I can really appreciate and give kudos to is my pastor, Prophetess Sylvia Mudhoni. She's the one who has walked with me.
Wow.
She guided me. Even that time I was going through all that time.
Yeah.
And I was telling her my story when God was guiding me, and I talked with her, and she really guided me. She has walked with me. And even my brothers and my sisters in the church, they have really walked with me. So something I can tell the guys, maybe those who are struggling with drugs, they can still come out of it. There's still hope. Don't give up, and even when you fall, don't stay at that level.
Yes.
Rise up and continue.
Awesome. Kang'ethe, thank you so much for your time today. You've really encouraged us and you have blessed us. One more message here says, what a testimony, Kang'ethe. What the Lord has done for you, he can also do to us, and that is so true. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for being a part of Motivation Monday. I believe Kang'ethe's testimony and his journey has been an encouragement to you. God willing, we'll hook up again tomorrow.
For this and more of our shows, log on to www.familymediaonline.com to enjoy a wide variety of programs, from current affairs to testimonials and features, pastoral and inspirational shows, kids entertainment, and so much more. Also stream live on www.familymedia.tv.